So, Super Mario Party Jamboree comes about next month, and I've gotta say, I've never been so confident on Mario Party game being one of the best games in the series like Jamboree. As based on the trailers and previews, it seems to be refining the classic gameplay we all know and love into near perfection. But what makes this game even more interesting that it is also the debut of Pauline being playable in a Mario Party game. Which really got me thinking about Nintendo and how much they really did a great job on revitalizing this character, as she was able to reach out in practically every single Mario multiplayer game released on Nintendo Switch. Which really makes it fascinating looking back is that, despite Pauline being a character that's been with the Mario series since the very beginning, being debuted alongside with Mario and Donkey Kong themselves, it really makes it weird to think that before the Nintendo Switch on how very niche Pauline was, as Nintendo didn't really do that much with the character. So I thought why not, since Pauline has become a mainstay in the series, to look back at her very beginnings on how we got to this point. So I think it's very appropriate to start with... Well, this knowledge is basically known to everyone. When creating the characters, Mario, Donkey Kong, and Pauline were based off of the Popeye characters. With Pauline's case being a character that was inspired by Olive, the damsel that Popeye needs to save. And in Mario's case, his main goal is trying to save Pauline from the evil Donkey Kong. And that's practically it for the character, as Pauline was there just to convey more of a story for this game. Ending things off with Mario saving Pauline from Donkey Kong. That was basically Pauline's only appearance for about a few years, as besides Pinball where she made a cameo, the original Donkey Kong arcade game was the only time she made an actual appearance. As afterwards, Mario became a big franchise with the Super Mario Bros. Series, and Peach basically replaced her with the whole damsel in distress role. As the only time where she would make multiple appearances is either a game where it calls back to the original Donkey Kong arcade game, or just Donkey Kong re-releases. Which does lead to hilarious results for Pauline's sprite. Honestly makes it funny to think about how this character went from this to this. This to this. This to this. But eventually in 1994, when the Donkey Kong franchise changed big time with the Donkey Kong Country series, Nintendo also released a reimagining of the original Donkey Kong arcade game with a whole new world for Mario to travel across to save Pauline. But also, this game also marks the debut of Pauline's much more modern appearance, that we still see to this very day with Mario Party Jamboree. But then, after this game release, Pauline once again faded back into obscurity. With the next time she ever returns, she'll be the main star of a brand new Mario spin-off series. So in 2004, Nintendo released a brand new Mario spin-off series with the Mario vs. Donkey Kong games. With the main thing about this sub-series as it's a full-on callback to the original Donkey Kong arcade game that focuses on the two rivals of Mario and Donkey Kong. And it's also a successor of the original Donkey Kong Game Boy title that I mentioned earlier. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because 2 years later when they released a sequel, this is when they decided to bring back Pauline. As the main story for this game is that Pauline is the main host for the grand opening of Super Mini Mario World, with the main conflict of this game being Donkey Kong falling in love with Pauline, but gets enraged when he doesn't notice the figure that he was giving to her. And then the rest is history. Donkey Kong kidnaps Pauline and Mario needs to go save her. The simple Mario trope we all know. But luckily for Pauline's case, she's not going to be taking another decade-long absence this time around, as 3 years later, Nintendo released Mario vs. Donkey Kong Minis March Again on the DSi, where once again Pauline is the main host of a special theme park Mario opened, where once again Donkey Kong kidnaps Pauline after being enraged when the tickets sold out. And then the very next year, Pauline makes another appearance in Miniland Mayhem where, guess what? Donkey Kong kidnaps Pauline after being enraged about something. And this is when the voice actors of the character decide to give out a 10 out of 10 performance for the 2010 Mario vs. Donkey Kong game on Nintendo DS. Like seriously though, not even Luigi sounded this terrified. But going back to Pauline as a character, you know it was really cool at the time that Nintendo brought back a really niche character into the limelight? But it only feels like Pauline gets the bare minimum when it comes to appearances in Mario games, as she was pretty much trapped in this weird limbo state where she only appears in the Mario vs. Donkey Kong games. Of course there are other appearances, like when they're trying to call back to the original Donkey Kong arcade game, and then there's Smash Brothers. But besides those, Pauline for the most part of the time was basically a damsel in distress character, even more so than Peach. They didn't even try in this one! Like, it really felt like Pauline was just there to fill out criteria for a Mario vs. Donkey Kong game. And it really felt like Nintendo wouldn't do really anything with Pauline besides that fact. However, there is always a light at the end of the tunnel.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the New Donk City Festival, a celebration of the history of our city. And now, to get things started, her honor, Mayor Pauline.
So in 2017, Nintendo released Super Mario Odyssey. And with this game, Mario travels across the different types of kingdoms, and one of them being the Metro Kingdom, where he explores through New Donk City, a massive callback to the original Donkey Kong arcade, with Pauline making her first ever debut in a mainline Mario game. However, this is not just a regular reappearance, as Super Mario Odyssey tries to do something new with Pauline and kind of evolve her a lot as a character. And so instead of just being a regular citizen in Brooklyn, this time Pauline is the mayor of the city. And not just that, but also a celebrity as well, as you could see her face plastered across the different areas. Which is really cool, but what I feel like what really solidified her as becoming a mainstay in the Mario series has to be the near end of New Donk City, where Pauline became the main singer of Mario Odyssey's theme, Jump Up Superstar. Which is the huge marketing push of this game, as it went for a much more Broadway aesthetic. And man, all this really paid off well, because Mario Odyssey is considered one of the best games in the series, and it sold insanely well. And so the next year after this game release, in 2018, Nintendo released a couple of Mario spin-offs, with one of them being Mario Tennis Aces. This game was a lot more mixed towards fans due to content issues and the whole free update thing. But regardless, this game made history of being the very first time Pauline became a playable character in a Mario game. Plus having cool little callbacks to Super Mario Odyssey as well. And this right here was basically the domino effect of we have today, because after this, Mario Golf Super Rush came out and then bam, a playable Pauline. Same with Mario Strikers, Pauline became a playable character there, and then with the Mario Kart games, Pauline became a playable character in Tour, and then at the near end of its DLC, we had Pauline in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And every time she's included, it fits so naturally well. As Super Mario Odyssey gave Pauline a bit more of a personality of being a singer, and you can see that trait in various animations in this game. And then this leads us to 2024 as Mario Party Jamboree comes out, and then bam, playable Pauline. Which really emphasized the fact on how much of a contrast Nintendo had towards Pauline over a decade ago. Like 9 years ago, this was basically the only thing Nintendo did with Pauline, but look at it now, she's basically in every single Mario game now. And I feel like Pauline is going to be here to stay for a really long time, which is really cool to think that after 37 years, Nintendo truly found a good footing for one of their oldest Nintendo characters of all time.